All right, welcome everyone. I see people are filing in right now. Thank you for joining me. It is a cold Wednesday. It is November 19th, right? We are just about a week out from Thanksgiving. Please stay until the end. I will be having a kind of Black Friday deal for you guys. So hopefully you guys can take advantage of that. Okay. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about stacking scholarships, right? When is it possible? And we're also going to be talking a little bit about the financial aid timeline, especially for our seniors, just so that I can make sure that I'm putting out the information that we need to have here. Okay. Now, I know that some people have already done it, but if you can go ahead and put your student's grade in the chat, it would be greatly appreciated so that we can understand who's coming to our kind of trainings and then also tailor things to those different grade levels. Okay. So I see that we have some 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. I think that's great. I see a sixth grade family in here as well. I see a class of 2026. But let's kind of get started into what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So let's go ahead, right? Again, what we're covering today, scholarship stacking. Is it possible? When it's possible? We'll also be talking about financial aid timelines. Just a little bit about me. My name is Coach David. I'm a former law school and college admissions reader, and now I'm working with students to help send them to, their dream colleges, and also help parents pay for it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and kind of talk about that in the future as well. Okay, now as far as financial aid news, this is always something that I do because I want to bring kind of the latest and greatest to our families so they understand what's going on. Okay. Now, the federal shutdown, right, was still going on when we had our conversation last week, but this week it's over, right? But there's another problem that's coming up. Okay. So the Department of Education is slowly in the process of dismantling some of its key offices, and it's actually sending different, we'll call them like departments within the Department of Education to different parts of the, federal government, right? So whether it's going to the Labor Department, the Department of the Interior, I even heard that loans are going to go over to the Treasury Department. We don't know exactly where things are going to land right now, right? But there are a lot of things that come with that, right? Now, they've said, hey, don't worry about student loans, don't worry about Pell Grants. Those are going to be dispersed, right? No worries about those things, right? It's going to be kind of like business as usual, right? But with the Department of Education kind of getting split up into all these different sectors, right? How that's going to affect low-income high schools, right? How it's going to affect college accreditation. We're unsure of what's going to happen there, right? So we'll see kind of what happens in the years to come. Okay. Now, again, I'll try to bring you guys a little tidbits of news here and there so that you guys have like an objective view of kind of what's going on so that you guys can make decisions that are kind of more long term, right? One of the things that I talked about more recently was the change in the amounts that are available to students when they're going to professional or graduate school, right? I do think that that is going to have a huge kind of um, impact on kind of like, well, like who's going to medical school, who's going to law school, who's going to this school or that school, right? So it's something that I am keeping my eye on. And then, but the the results are not going to be something that is like immediately apparent, right? I do think that over the next decade, we might see a decrease in the amount of students that are going to medical school, right? Because of the cost and things like that, right? Now, I know I always talk about things that are happening in the government. Unfortunately, financial aid is very, very linked to that, right? I even see that we have the CIA here today. So maybe they're checking in on me. I'm not sure. But the one thing that I do know is that, I want to help your family save money. Okay. Now, before we get into the training, I always have this quick message here, right? And the message is we can only help the families that reach out, right? Now, I'm talking about financial aid today, but for those of you guys that do not know, right? egelloC is actually, a comprehensive company. We work on financial aid. We work on the college admission side of things, right? So if you want to talk to our team about, college admissions and kind of like what we can do to help, how we can get your student to their goals, right? You can do one of two things. You can book your own call through that QR code, or you can send us a text message, right? It's just you all you have to do is send the word book to 949-775-0865. Okay. And then our team will reach out to you, set up a time that you can talk to our advisors, right? And make sure that you are on the right track, right? See if there's any other things that you need to do. All right. All right, so let's get into the brunt of what we're going to be talking about today, right? And I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. So I actually just use real examples, right, to show you guys exactly what happens when you're trying to stack scholarships on top of each other. Okay. Now, scholarship stacking is exactly what it sounds like, right? You put all these different scholarships together to get enough money to pay for college, right? While it seems like a good thing, though, scholarship stacking is not available to everyone. Now, for those that have been with me for a little while, you guys have heard about scholarship displacement, right? But today, I wanted to kind of put it into real terms for you and show you three different situations at three different income levels and how scholarship stacking either works for you or works against you when it comes to college financial aid. So we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth, right? Now, the one thing to keep in mind here is that scholarship stacking is not available for everyone, right? And the general thought that's probably going through your mind right now is, well, why isn't it available to everyone? What's going on? Like, what's happening, right? But I'm going to go ahead and go over some examples to make it a little bit more clear for you. Okay. So I want you, and again, there wasn't an easy way to like make this flow. So I'm just going to go over the different examples and I want you guys to keep them in mind. Okay. I tried to make them as similar as possible with the different kind of criteria to make it so that you are able to see it very clearly. Okay. But let's jump into example one here. Okay. Now, with example one, the family's income is around $58,000 a year, right? The school that they're going to is UC Berkeley, right? Now, the financial aid that was given, right, by the school, the federal government, the school, and the state government was $36,000 in total, right? In addition to that, the student also got outside scholarships in the amounts of 10K from IBM and 8K from Intel. These are just the two names that came, right? I'm just spitballing here, right? But I want you to think a little bit about this, right? Is this student going to be able to stack their scholarships, 36,000, 10,000, and 8,000? Okay. So let's kind of do a quick poll, right? We have enough people here, right? How many people think that they are going to be allowed to stack? If you can give me a quick Y or N, right? If they can stack, yes. If they can't, no, right? I'll wait for five or six answers. Okay, someone answered in the Q&A. Yes. I have another one in the Q&A. They think yes. Someone in the chat just said no. Okay. So two yeses, one no's. We have an it depends, right? All right. So it's kind of a mixed bag here. Now let's move on to the second example. Okay. Now this family made $120,000. They're going to UC Berkeley. The financial aid given by the federal, state, or the college that they're attending was $15,000, right? Their outside scholarships, the same. IBM 10K, Intel 8K. What do you think happens here? Are they going to be able to stack? I have a family that says yes. I have a family that says no. Okay, so again, mixed bag here. Okay, some people are saying yes, some people are saying no, right? So we'll kind of move on and go on there, right? Now we have example three. Okay. Now in example three, the family's income is $300,000. They're also going to Berkeley. The financial aid given to them was zero, and their outside scholarships are 10 and 8. Same thing. What do you think happens here? Okay. So let's see here. We had a question that says, are the 10 and 8K one time or for 4 years? So I'm just talking about the first year. I'm just asking if they can stack or not, right? That's it, right? So that's what we're focusing on today, right? Okay. I have a family that says no. I have a family that says yes. I have a family that says no. So again, it's a mixed bag here again, right? So again, some people are kind of flip-flopping. I even saw one family that said yes and no for like multiple different ones, right? But let's kind of go deeper into this and what happens in each individual case. Okay. So we're going to start with the first family, $58,000 a year. Okay. This student received $36,000 in financial aid from the school. A UC costs around $43,000 a year, right? So they're basically paying about 7 grand out of pocket to go to a UC every single year, right? The student received 18,000 in outside scholarships. Okay. So this student, they are considered low income, right? One of the pieces I didn't tell you about was that this family received the Pell Grant, right? So one of the things I wanted to make sure of here is that you guys understand this. If your family is a lower income family and you guys receive the Pell Grant, right? As long as you receive the Pell Grant in any amount, it doesn't matter, right? Whether it's a dollar or the full $7,000 roughly that you can get, that means that you can stack any amount of scholarships that you need in order to go to college, right? So it will add on to the amount of financial aid that you have gotten. Okay. So this student now has $54,000 to pay for college for a college that only costs about $43,000. They have an 11K excess. What will happen to that excess? It'll just get paid to them. That is it, right? So, after all the bills are paid for, they will get the remaining balance. Okay, that's how this works. Okay, that for this family, right? Low income, Pell Grant receiving family, they will be allowed to stack their scholarships. If they got $100,000 in outside scholarships, they'll be able to stack those on top too. So they'll have 136,000. They're going to have a big check at the end of the year coming back to them. Okay, that's what's going to happen in this particular scenario. Now, let's move to the family that had $120,000. Okay. They received 15K in financial aid from the federal, state, and the college that they were going to, right? UC Berkeley. They received 18,000 in outside scholarships. Right now, the net effect of what happens to this family is that the student now has $18,000 to pay for college. Their financial aid that they received from their school has been completely wiped out and has been replaced by their outside scholarships. Excuse me, one second. My throat is itchy. Now, a lot of families might be thinking, what the heck? We got 15,000. Then we had 18,000. I should have $33,000. This has been the thing that I have talked with families about for years and years and years. In this particular situation, you had received $15,000, but you received $18,000 in outside scholarships that were sent directly to your school, right? To your college, right? So, from the college's perspective, they no longer need to give you $15,000 because that was all they were going to give you. That was the max they were going to give you. But you already fulfilled what the school was going to give you in aid by doing the work on your own. And so they're going to get rid of their 15,000 and just let your outside scholarships pay for that difference that they saw in your financial need. Okay. So the $15,000 from school is gone. All you have is $18,000. Okay. That is what's going to happen in this particular scenario, right? Now, let's talk about the family with the $300,000 income, right? You received zero in financial aid funds, right? You received 18K in outside scholarships, right? The student now has 18K to pay for college, right? So, what is this actually showing us, right? It is showing us that only when your family is in a situation where they are considered low income Pell Grant recipients is scholarship stacking available, right? But on the other side, if you're receiving no aid from a school, scholarship stacking is available because there's nothing to negate anything, right? Because you're not getting anything from the school, there's nothing to negate. So you can stack again $100,000 worth of scholarships together and then pay for school. Okay. So that is how the situation works, right? So whether you're a lower income family or a much higher income family, right? Those are the only situations. Unfortunately, people that are stuck in the middle are the people that get screwed the most, right? And unfortunately, 85% of our families are families that are stuck in the middle between, let's say, 100 and, let's call it 250, right? I'd probably say 85% of our families are in that income range, right? The other families, right, that are outside of those ranges, right, they're going to be able to stack because, again, they're either not going to get anything or because they are allowed to stack because if you're a Pell Grant recipient, you are allowed to stack. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. I wanted to bring these examples to you because a lot of people misunderstand what those outside scholarships can do. Right. But here are some takeaways to think about. Right. So the first one is that it's not always in your best interest to accept outside scholarships. Right. Sometimes it hurts you more than it helps you. Right. Especially for one-time scholarships. So we had, one of our attendees say, hey, is it for one time or is it for 4 years? Right? That's exactly the question that is important, right? So if it's a one-time scholarship that decreases your aid that you get from the school, if you're in that middle category, then it might not make sense to take that if it's a one-time scholarship, right? If it is a 4-year renewable scholarship, then maybe it makes sense to take it, but you have to run the math, right? Another thing is that you need to make sure to understand that even if you win a scholarship or are awarded a scholarship, right, you might not accept it depending on the situation and depending on the financial situation that you are posed with or the financial aid award that you are given, right? Having said that, okay, this is my last point. Parents always ask me, is it worth it for my student to apply to these things? I always think that it is important for students to have some skin in the game, right? They should be putting in the effort. They should be putting in kind of the time to fund part of their education, right? Now, parents, I'm sure some of you guys have stories of how you worked your way through college and grad school and this and that, right? And of course, you want to make college a possibility for your child, your student as well, right? But I don't know. They should work for it too, right? It shouldn't just be all on parents to pay the bill. Okay. So apply, but whether you accept it or not, that depends on your particular situation that you're in. Okay. So keep that in mind there. Okay. Now, another thing that I wanted to make sure to go over was kind of the financial aid timeline, right? Now, if you're a family that's in our program, I've already started working on things. You don't need to worry about anything. I will make sure that we're on the right timeline, right? But for families that are doing it on their own, the one thing I will say is you need to make sure that you're doing things by the posted deadlines, right? And the reason why I don't do it by the posted deadlines is because I understand the process inside and out, right? So just generally speaking, right? And I made this cool graphic with AI, right? On October 1st, right? It actually opened a couple days early this year, but on October 1st, financial aid opens, right? From anywhere from November, December, January, that's the time that you're turning in additional forms, right? Now, October 1st, right? That's when you do the FAFSA, the CSS. November, December, January are additional forms, additional kind of portals that they want you to do, right? From February to March, right? That's kind of when you are kind of getting ready for next year's taxes for parents, right? But also for students, you should be checking offers and understanding the aid that you got, right? And then again, from February to March is also times where a lot of students are getting decisions back. So appealing, right? Doing those things is important as well, right? And then obviously before, I don't know why it says May or June. It should actually be April, like basically March and April. You should be reviewing your financial aid, right? If circumstances have changed, obviously you need to tell the financial aid office so that they can make, changes, right? And then finally in the summer, if you're going to do any kind of loan applications, that's when all of that happens as well. Okay. But this is a general timeline. I'll fix it up and make it prettier next time so that you guys can kind of take a screenshot of it. But it's not exactly perfect right now. AI can only do so much. Unfortunately, it won't let me edit anything once they create it, right? That is kind of a general timeline of where you should be if you're a current senior. Okay. If you're in our program, don't worry about it. I got you under control. Okay. Now, the one thing that I always ask is please, please, please reach out for help, right? Whether it's on Facebook, on Discord, email, whatever it is, please reach out to us. Now, obviously, if you're not one of our coaching families, you won't have access to Discord. So reach out on Facebook, reach out via email, right? Email is always the best. I will actually put my email in here so that you guys can reach out to me. Okay. Find@egelloC.com. Okay. If you email me there, I respond usually before the end of the day, right? I sometimes even respond super late at night or super early in the morning, right? So it just depends on when I see your email, but I usually try to clear out my inbox before the end of the day. Okay. But don't go into this situation blind, especially if you're like an 11th grade student or 10th grade student. This is the perfect time for you guys to talk to us, especially for kind of 11th grade students because the 2025 tax year that is ending in about 6 weeks, right? That is the tax return that we will be using for financial aid. So if there's anything that can be done, we should be talking about it now. Okay. The one thing that I will say once I get to kind of the links for kind of signing up for a consultation is that my schedule, I've blocked things out because I'm working on, things for seniors. I am working on, helping our, coaching families, get to the finish line as far as their applications. So I've blocked out a lot of my calendar, but if you reach out to us via email or you text us, right, my team and I will find a time for you to meet with me, have a consultation so we can see what we can do for you. Okay. But if you're a senior right now and you haven't talked to me, if you've already done all the financial aid, there's nothing I can really do for you now, right? And I'm sorry to say, you probably screwed it up already, right? But if you haven't turned things in yet, right, and you're a senior, please talk to me. But if you're a junior family, you need to talk to me ASAP, and you should probably do it with our Black Friday offer because, well, you're going to be saving a bunch of money. Okay. Now, again, I go over these results all the time, right? Families that are making, 300 plus, right? I get them, 30, $40,000, right? This family made 400 plus. I got them $40,000 plus, right? This family that makes, just over $200,000, I got them over $30,000 at a UC. So all of these things are possible for your family too. These are screenshots directly from their portals. Okay. So keep that in mind there. Okay. Now, if you want to talk to us, right, there's two different ways. Text us, right? All you have to do is text money to 650-860-5201, or you can book your own call. The problem with booking your own call through that QR code is that you're probably not going to be able to get a consultation until next year, right? So if you want to meet us faster, and for junior students and for senior students, you do need to meet us faster, right? We should definitely be kind of talking, okay? But we will kind of get to the questions, and I see a couple questions coming into the Q&A, so we'll definitely answer those, right? But I wanted to kind of leave you with my Black Friday offer, and it's only good for, unfortunately, the people that are here right now because I'll be able to see who booked when, right? But here is my Black Friday special, right? So sign up for a consultation by 9 o'clock tonight, right? If you do sign up for a consultation, right, and you sign up for our services, right, I will do 2 years worth of our services for the price of one. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I can't just do it for every single person that signs up. So it's limited to the first 15 families that do sign up, right? By next week, I'm guessing that they're mostly going to be gone. Every time I have a special, people just flood in and then they kind of take all the spots. But it's limited to the first 15 families. So if you do want to sign up for a consultation, you can either shoot me a quick email. Like I said, the QR code's a little bit, mm, I mean, if you want to meet next year, that's fine, right? I'll still see that you signed up tonight, right? But if you're a junior or a senior, you should be talking to me a lot faster than next year. Okay. So you can text us money. We will find you a time, right? If everyone I'm going to give everyone like 15, 20 seconds to jot down the number so that you can send us a text message or you can send us an email to the fineaid@egelloc.com. Okay. So that's what we can do there. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to give people about 30 seconds to get that kind of situated. I'm going to turn this cam off real quick so I can cough because my throat is super itchy. Just give me 1 second. All right. I see everyone like kind of clacking away, right? So 650-860-5201. Text us now, right? If you text us and we set you up, I'll make sure that you have that discount in place, right? Or you can email us, right? Or you can go ahead and use the QR code, but the QR code is not going to get you a time until later, maybe late December, early January. Okay. So we'll kind of go there. Now we do have some questions, so we'll definitely talk about those, right? So I'll just kind of go in order of the things we have. And so let's look at this first question. It says, I understand that FAFSA is federal financial aid is not available for students on L2 status. What are some other types of financial aid options available? Unfortunately, most of the financial aid options that are available at any type of school, whether it is a state school or a private school, are only going to be for people that are permanent residents or US citizens. Okay. While a lot of colleges say that they have international financial aid, it's really not there, right? Now, realistically, for certain students that are on kind of like, maybe they're like a H visa dependent or an L visa dependent, depending on majors and things like that, I have seen students get like, merit-based aid or need-based aid, right? But realistically, those have mostly been at art schools, right? So I had a student about 2 years ago. Their family was here on an H visa. Student was studying art, right? The student ended up going to Art Center in Pasadena. And we were able to get the student about $50,000 a year, right? It was combined with like their artistic ability plus the need that the family showed, right? So that though there are specific situations, but sometimes but it's a very case by case situation. If your student is studying something more traditional, like economics or, business or engineering, most likely it's not going to happen. Okay. We have another question that says, what is the price of year one for your services for financial aid? Unfortunately, I don't talk about money here, right? So you do have to sign up for a consultation to talk with me, right? Right now, we're just trying to give information out to people, right? So if you are interested in our services, you can definitely sign up for a consultation. We can talk about it. I can tell you about the discount that you will receive. And if you do, right, it's decide to sign up, wonderful, right? If not, that's okay too. Okay. So there, our consultations are always free. There's no obligation. So, feel free to sign up for one. Okay. We have another question and it says, when is a good time to look for scholarships? We have a junior. There are scholarships that are out there for students as young as like 3 or 4 years old. So there's no like wrong time to look for them, right? But if you're a junior right now, then you should be in the midst of it, right? Just about, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a whole session on like looking for scholarships, where you should be looking, how you should be looking, right? So if you go on our YouTube channel or if you reach out to us, we should be able to provide that replay to you as well. Okay. All right, we have another question here, and it says, "I have a senior. Several called have already made offers, but keep calling WUI a scholarship or award. If we're in California, aren't we eligible for WUI anyway? They seem to market it as an award, but they don't even say it's offered. How do I tell exactly what we're being offered? Okay, so." This is a great question, right? We have a lot of California students going to other states' public schools for college, right? Luckily, there's something called the WUI, the Western Undergraduate Exchange. The Western Undergraduate Exchange is a grouping of states that have said at these particular, public institutions, doesn't matter what state you're from, if you're from out of state, we're going to give you a tuition discount, right? Now, the colleges, of course, they're going to market it as like, hey, we're giving you free money. But no, yes, you're right. It is not them giving you free money, right? It is actually them just abiding by the terms of their agreement within the Western Undergraduate Exchange, right? So when you see like a WUI situation, right? Sometimes they do it differently. Sometimes they say your tuition is going to be this much and they just give you the discounted price. Or sometimes they give you the out-of-state tuition price and then tell you how much you're saving through the WUI, right? But either way, it should be clearly marked that it is a WUI savings, right? Now, if they give you like I don't know, University of Arizona award on top of that, or this or that, or so on and so forth, right? Then that is kind of like other incentives that they're throwing at you to try to get you to come, right? But, right, your WUI savings should be very clear. And you can kind of calculate it out because let's just say that the tuition is $10,000 normally for in-state students. That means it's for out-of-state students that don't have the WUI, that it's normally $30,000, right? And then if it's $30,000, if you have the WUI, then it should be $15,000 because it's only supposed to be 150%, right? So it should be a very simple calculation for you to figure out how much you're saving beyond just the WUI savings. Okay. All right. We have another question that says, our kid is a U.S. citizen, but we are not U.S. citizens. Can you get financial aid, scholarships, right, for an engineering student? The citizenship the citizenship that matters is not the parents. It is actually the student, right? So if the student is a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, we're good to go, right? Parents, I don't care. You can be from Mars, right? But again, there are going to be some things that we need. If you're a parent that is not living in the United States, like let's say that your student is a US citizen going to a boarding school here, you live in a different country, it might get a little bit more complicated because, well, you don't have a US tax return, right? But if you guys are in the United States, but let's say you're on a different situation. Let's say that you are, you're on a visa, but your kid was born here, so they're a citizen, right? If that is the case, then again, it's a little bit more complicated, but because you have a US tax return, it shouldn't be too different, right? But obviously sign up for a consultation so that we can talk a little further. Okay. So that is kind of the end of our questions, right? Thank you guys for asking those. But again, I really want to stress this, okay? 15 families, that's all, those are the only discounts that I can give. Okay. So if you're interested, please make sure to reach out to us via text or email. That is going to be the fastest way for you guys to get in touch with us, right? And I already see some people already emailed us. So thank you for that, right? Um, But if you need a little time and you need to wait out until after the holidays, right? You can definitely use the QR code as well. I don't know if it goes out that far or not. Okay. But again, we are here every week on Wednesday, 5 o'clock, to give you guys some kind of insight into kind of like what can be done for your family. Now, next week, Wednesday, is actually a very special day for me because it's actually my birthday, right? So I actually might go a little bit crazy with a discount. So, if you guys want to show up, great, right? If not, right, you're gonna miss out on the birthday discount, right? But again, Black Friday discount that's running right now, right? I'm still thinking about what to do special for my birthday, so we'll kind of see what's happening there, right? But if you guys do have any other questions, please reach out to us. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this screen up just for a little bit so that people can get the phone number or the QR code. The email that you can also reach out to is also, I'm going to leave it in the chat so that people can email us as well. But if you have any questions, right, please feel free to reach out to us because if you don't, well, we can't help. Okay. So I hope everyone has a great night. If you have any other questions, please let us know and we'll talk to you again soon. Okay. Bye bye.